What is up, bros? Me, Josh here, and in this week's episode of Ship of the Week, my series where I go over the ship in World of Warships that I have had the most fun with, we are going over the Tier 9 German DD, the Z-46. Now, if you guys missed last week's episode, we went over the IGN Tier 10 Shimakaze. I'll put a link down below for that. If you did miss it, go check that out. Another ship I've been having a lot of fun playing. But the Z-46, this ship and this line really has been a love-hate relationship for me. I think the majority of the line really, I know at Tier 6, people are having some fun with, and the Tier 7 people are having some fun with. I really dislike this line. Besides some of the low tiers, the very low tiers, the Tier 2 to Tier 3, I thought they were kind of troll fun. This line for me has been a very tough line and was very, what do you say, underperforming at the time. And ever since the change to stealth firing, which really helped out with the USN line, it has really kind of quote unquote buffed this line and brought it up to be very competitive. And I have found, especially going from the Z-23 at the Tier 8 up into this ship at Tier 9, this ship is a blast. It's probably one of my favorite Tier 9s to play, if not one of my favorite ships to play, and I'm absolutely loving it. The Z-23 at Tier 8, I really disliked a lot, just because the Benson was so superior to it, completely outgunned, out-stealthed, out kind of everything, and this is, I wouldn't quite say it's as good as the Fletcher. It's situationally better than the Fletcher, but it's still the ship is really good. It's better at certain things. I wouldn't quite say it's overall better, um, but it's better at certain things, and that's because the German line does have the sonar. So sonar, long range torps, stealthy torps. This ship has been a blast, and I'm really excited for going on to the Tier 10. I was getting a little down on the line with going kind of up through it. The Tier 6 and the Tier 7 I felt were very underwhelming, but that was also before the changes to stealth firing. So one thing when you played this ship is, well, now with the changes, you were kind of a stealthy build, torp bow, and it took me a while to kind of figure out how to play this line correctly. And especially going into this with the Tier 9 with having a higher rate of fire and all kind of the tools and stuff like that, having a higher rate of fire, being able to pump out more damage, this ship is the perfect anti-DD for high tiers. And kind of the high tier German DD is because you can push smoke, you can do a lot of damage, you're very competitive rate of fire wise for guns, and you can take out, let's say, like a Fletcher or a Kikero or Yugumo, something like that, Shimakaze. You can be very competitive and do a massive amount of damage. There's been games where I have ripped 3, 4, 5K salvos on broadside battleships. That's absolutely insane. When you, and it still took me a while to kind of figure out how this playstyle works. I kind of treated this kind of almost like a gunship with good torps, kind of a, well, I would say kind of like like a Russian line with kind of a mix between a Russian line and a USN line, and I couldn't quite really figure out what to do. But then once I did, this line has really paid for itself and has been an absolute blast. Figuring out that you're kind of a stealthy anti-DD and being able to kind of do that. Like right now, these guys are getting spotted. Will be spotted in a little bit because of my sonar. So you have the ability of this guy smoking up, and they're being radared right now by our cruiser that's in our division. But I have the ability, once that radar is done, I can just push this guy in smoke, and he's absolutely screwed. There's nothing you can do. That makes you the best anti-DD outside of maybe the black. And potentially even better than the black in certain situations, because you have the radar. This is going to help you spot torps. This is going to help you spot DDs for longer because of the sonar. You can run the sonar module, and has really made me like being an anti-DD, because that's why I love the USN DDs. I absolutely love them. There's the kill number 1, killing one of the DDs, and I know the other Fletchers here as well. Being able to focus on that and taking out the enemy DDs, because once a team has no DDs, they're at such a disadvantage nowadays because of how the game is, with especially on a North American server with lack of CVs, which are on the normal food table when it comes to World of Warships, are the counter to DDs. Not having DDs basically will, I wouldn't say would guarantee you a win, but it'll really help controlling the map, giving you extra vision, and being able to just absolutely stealth torpedoes without having any without having any kind of interference or anything like that. So Not only does this line just absolutely wreck other destroyers, but you can be very, very stealthy with torps. The only real downside about this line is the smoke's relatively short. That's about it. And because with the changes to stealth firing, you're a lot more competitive. And I've been really, really enjoying it. So this side, right now we're rolling with a 3-man division. We have a pretty balanced division with the Kurfürst, a Donskoy, and a Z-46. So potentially 3 sonars, 1 radar, and 1 very, very good anti-DD with good torps. So the only downside is I don't have the ability to kind of smoke up my team as I would if I was a Fletcher or a situation like that. Just because my smoke just doesn't last as long, it's not as good, and that's kind of a downside for it. But being able to just be aggressive on enemy DDs and pump out extra damage, you're kind of more an offensive DD, I would say, being able to do that massive, massive AP damage, as well as, you know, kind of pushing caps and stuff like that. Yeah, I wouldn't quite say this is better than the Fletcher, but it has the ability of just being absolutely mad about how much damage it can do. I mean, there's a 3k salvo. I mean, you're almost shooting as fast as the Fletcher, but like dropping 3k salvos, 4k salvos, you're gonna rack up damage pretty quick. So there's kill number 2 for us. We're already up to 70k. We did lose our battleship, and we're starting to lose some guys on the enemy on the other side. So we do need to kind of keep moving. We were able to really kind of punish the majority of our team at this way. So that's one reason why we were able to be so strong on this side. So I laid down some smoke for our cruiser, hoping he can do whatever, because I need this Atlanta to die. You know, regardless of what destroyer I'm in, Atlantas are still going to be able to absolutely wreck your face. And it honestly has taken me a while to fully accept the AP life for this destroyer. I mean, I could potentially, assuming this destroyer isn't, or this Atlanta isn't really, really good with AP and the HE and the rate of fire, you can probably go hit for hit with the Atlanta if you can move enough and the Atlanta's aim's bad enough. Like right here, I should have been going AP. I didn't think he gave me that much of an angle, but you will absolutely just chunk him down. But even if I can hit 400, 1400, 1500 to salvo, you have the ability of just absolutely going hit for hit for those guys, because you just do so much damage. It's absolutely insane. And it's still kind of like, if you guys ever like seen like heard of how a ship's played, or you know, you've never really played a ship a certain way, but then you do, and then it's just like, oh okay, that's why that guy's doing that. That's why people are doing this at that time. That's the German DDs for me. And you know, I'm so used to HE, USN, you know, AP in the right situations. But really, if you're hitting superstructure with AP, you have the ability of just absolutely shredding battleships, shredding cruisers. You just have to be worried or very careful about where you're shooting, because you just can't stealth fire. You know, with stealth fire not really being in the game anymore, you just got to be very, very careful, be very optimistic. And right now I'm just trying to get the extra little fire on the backside. But the Z-46, is it worth the grind? Absolutely. The downside is you have to go through a bunch of very mediocre ships, in my opinion. I think the majority of the German line. Now, of course, just bear in mind, I did play almost all the line before the change to stealth fire, so they were they were a lot worse. Let's just say they were a lot worse when I was playing them, and getting through those kind of mid tiers was pretty freaking brutal. It really was. Getting through the gate, getting through all those ships that are the tier 6, tier 7 like that. That was absolutely brutal. But once I did get through it, the Z-23 was very love-hate for me. I couldn't get consistently good games, but I have been able to get consistently good games in this. It's just the higher rate of fire, you know, the ability to just be as good, if not better, than a lot of the DDs at this tier. And you're just so situationally amazing at things, you know, pushing other destroyers. And I think it might just be like the guns, and of course this New Orleans wasn't paying attention at all, but trying to get there so I can get some aggression on the Z-23 that's right there. But I just think the Z-23 for me just didn't work. Some people have decided it's worked for them. Other people's have kind of heard the same situation. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think, if you guys have played the Z-23, the tier 8 German DD. If it's worked for you, if it hasn't worked for you, let me know. I'm kind of interested in what everyone kind of else thinks. If you have the ability to get to the Z-46, like if you're almost on the Z-23, free XPing through it. I don't like to free XP through too many ships. I don't recommend it. because a majority of ships in this game are decent to play through, but I felt like the Z-23 for me was very underwhelming. It didn't mix with me. I don't know. It's just it was really really weird. But the Z-46 or Z-26, the Z-23, the Z-46 though has been like amazing, amazing. I thought that Shiratsu was going to be the dead right there. Right now, we're just trying to climb back into this game. So I have the ability of sonar in 20 seconds, so I can actually push this guy. Now, I gotta be careful, though, because he has the same thing. And I want to get some resets on C-cap. That's what we kind of need to do. So whenever you do that, you're trying to rotate targets. So trying to get a shot on the Bismarck, trying to get a shot on the Rune, trying to get a shot on the Missouri if he's in cap. That's what you're trying to do. But the main thing is I'm trying to hunt down this DD, which is what the German DDs are very, very, very good at. He did push out a smoke, so I did kind of lose that bit of an advantage of the surprise attack, where I could have kept the smoke between him and I and just sonared into the smoke and been able to kind of like work him. But he ended up leaving. We ended up spotting him because he ended up shooting at me. If I were him, I just would have kind of stayed stealth and not shot. But he got a little greedy right there. They're going to end up getting C-cap, but we're going to kill this DD, which is as important, if not important, because you can get caps back, but you want to definitely get those kills, especially on a class like a DD. And I think I snagged some lucky shots. There we go. Yeah, I do snag that lucky shot. Believe in your shots, guys. If the DD's not there, you know generally where he was. Just go for it. Take the shot. Worst thing it's going to do is you're going to miss. And but the best thing you do is potentially kill him. So down goes the Z-23, down goes the Rune. So right now we're getting those ships back. They do still have that Fletcher that we were fighting against and a Tirpitz. Right now, mainly, it's just us versus these two battleships and then recapping the game. As you can see, we have one battleship going towards B-cap. We have a Shiratsu going through. I think I tell him to go to drop torps and just go to A-cap. And then I can kind of work on this. I do have to be very careful, though. Yeah, sure, get A. That's the right play for him, is going to A. I can take these guys and try to work on it. Because we just need to make sure, although we're ahead in points, we're ahead in kills, with them having 3 caps to our 1, that can still get out of hand because those caps go up pretty quick point-wise. But mainly the only thing I have to really worry about is just the Missouri and with the sonar, because I think the Fletcher, I was worried about the Fletcher maybe rotating all the way, but as you can see right there on the minimap, the Fletcher played potentially the slowest half, the second half in World of Warships history, and just didn't achieve anything. But yeah, really have to worry about the Missouri's radar. This Bismarck, we're just trying to get going, and with his 10.4 kilometer secondaries, it's something I have to really worry about, with just kind of beating me down with just damage he can do by himself. But with the Shira kind of being in front of him, I figured I could just work him and try to show off some of the AP damage on this guy. And torps are going down on him. He's gonna take a few of those for sure. Couple on the butt end, but we can work him down with some of that AP life and try to hit that superstructure, the upper armor belt, and get some of that pen damage. But down he goes, and kind of wasted my torps. We're up to 100k damage already, and still working on the Missouri. And you know, we really don't have to worry about that. Missouri up top, two guys down south. Those guys aren't too big of a deal. I was worried I was gonna hit that Shiro with some torps, and but no, I'm absolutely loving this ship. It's one of my favorite. It's going to be an easy grind. I feel like it up tiers very well. I think one of the main things is it has a really low USN level detection. So 5.9, you're right there with the gearing. You're right there with the Fletcher. You're very competitive even against IGN. And so you have the advantage of having sonar against those guys. So you can push and be more aggressive. What I mean by that is that if you pop sonar, or hydroacoustic, whatever you want to call it, you have the ability of just forcing them to torp, or if they're in smoke, you can kind of punish them and just start working them on that. You know, it's a pseudo radar really once you get kind of close, and if you can see the torps, you know, with a 3-4 kilometer increase in range, you can dodge all that. So there's the AP damage, almost 5k, almost 4k. That's 10k in like 7 seconds. 2k. It's insane how much AP damage you can get from these. Almost 2400. This is what this line is made for. So what I try to do in this line is I try to get 1 fire, potentially 2 on them. At least 1 fire. You can always tell if the battleship has I was really bummed that we gave this Tirpitz a little bit of crap after that because he completely whiffed his torpedoes. Not even close. But it was alright though because we were able to farm out a bit more damage. But what I like to do with these ships is I like to get one fire, see if they have the superstructure fire prevention, and then after that just absolutely work them with AP and just do a massive like that Tirpitz with this Torps so far, man. So far it was really funny, and but we were able to win, so I wasn't really that bummed out. But yeah, what I like to do though is get one fire on the superstructure and then just absolutely demolish with AP. Because I mean, what are you going to be able to do with a DD every, you know, what, 4 seconds, chunking you down 2,500 on average at a time? You're like a Minotaur almost. It's pretty nutty. So and you're super agile, and the worst thing he's going to do is hit you every, you know, 30 some seconds. But this ship's a beast. We're at 138,000 damage already, a cap, multiple torp hits, 3 kills, almost 300 target hits. Just absolutely getting a massive amount of damage. And really excited for what this line has. The only downside about this line, and I want to kind of go back and maybe play some of the mid to low tiers to see if they are better or maybe more competitive now. Because when I was playing, you know, the Sims and all the stuff that still had stealth fire and the German line didn't, they were at such a disadvantage and they just couldn't do it. You were basically spot like the Moss at tier 7. It was just, you know, we saw it in the latest rank season. It just didn't perform that well. Although I did see people, I mean, it could get kills and it could do some damage. I just didn't see it perform as good as other ships. And, you know, would it be a little different now because ships can't stealth fire? Would it be a bit of a better torp boat? You can play it differently compared to other ships, because that was the one ship that didn't have, you know, had the bloom effect, which you would basically just get spotted from wherever you were. So maybe I need to go back and check out the ships. I still feel like the line is pretty tough, and you know that 4, 5, 6, and even like the 7. I think the 7's still pretty freaking mediocre. But regardless, though, this is the light at the end of the tunnel. This tier 9 and the tier 10. I played the tier 10 early when testing it, and I played on the test server, of course. But really enjoying this ship, and of course the 10 will be just as good. I would say the 9's not as good as the Fletcher, but very good in other situations, and the 10 is going to be better than the Gearing if you guys have played the USN line. So that's kind of whereabouts the insanity of these ships are. You know, these are very competitive, the USN line, and in some situations are even better. We're going to see if he can snag this last little kill. This Fletcher's trying to drag and save his star as long as he can. Farm as much damage, but I think this New Orleans is going to pop a radar pretty quick, and we'll just try to hopefully take him down. He's only got 1:30 left. But yeah, this thing is potentially one of the best anti-DDs in the game. The tier 10, I'm super excited for the Z-52, and I think this is going to be, just like the Neptune was at tier 9, going to be a very easy grind. The Udaloy, there's a lot of good tier 9s right now, and I'm really liking that. And we'll see if we can snag this dude and get him out of this game. Let's go. Let's move on to the next one. Come on, you Fletcher. We're capping it out. One of my biggest pet peeves, although he is a destroyer, but have you guys ever seen like that cruiser that just goes to the corner instead of shooting? I think a lot of people don't realize that the old school way of warships is, you know, you take less damage, you lose less credits. I think a lot of people don't realize that you're charged kind of the credits up front anyway. I don't know if people know that. If you don't know that, you get more damage doing more. You earn more credits and more XP doing damage and at least shooting and tanking damage. So, just a heads up if anybody didn't know that. So this Fletcher is gonna actually get the get the reset on the New Orleans, but we will get the last laugh, taking down this Fletcher. Come on now. Let us finish this game. 15 seconds. Go me. 15 seconds. 2,900. He's going down 700. There it is. So 141k, 4 kills. Let's jump over to the port, and I'll show you guys what I run captain skills and modules. So here we are in port with the Z-46, and let's check out what I run on the modules. Now this is going to be pretty easy. Of course, I run all the premiums. I highly recommend it. At least I would run, if you guys are going to run it, I would run the repair, the smoke, and the hydroacoustic or sonar. Speed boost, I think, is kind of mediocre. You could save some money there, but definitely want to get the extra smoke. Sonar is amazing, and the repair, of course, you're going to want that because it could save you. So what I run is main armament mod 1. This is going to help me with torpedo tubes and guns. I think that's pretty normal. Now I run the extra hydroacoustic. So this is going to be from whether you bought it with the Battle of the Elements coins, or you can get it from a super container. I run this, so it gives me more of hydroacoustic time, so that's really, really good for the German destroyers. Highly recommend it. So for this, now this is what I want to run. I still kind of treat these as a torp boat over a gunboat. So I want faster torps. That's what I use. You could easily run with the faster reload for main bat 3, but I want faster torps. So 15% to reload time, I like that a lot. Running propulsion, I think that's pretty basic for destroyers. Steering gears, I think that's pretty basic for destroyers. You want to avoid as many torps as possible, although you are getting a lot of the time hydroacoustic, but I think just as a destroyer, you want to be as agile as possible and misses any torpedoes, because one is probably going to be deadly, especially at high tiers. And then, of course, concealment is pretty basic for that. Now, for captain skills, this is also going to be pretty simple. I'm going to be running priority target. I think this is amazing for destroyers. I think this is highly worth getting. Last stand, mandatory. Don't get anything else first. Survivability expert is, I think, really, really good. You could maybe grab some other stuff later. I have a 16-point captain. Concealment, you want that for sure to grab that at 10. Now, AFT to give you that extra range. These guns do have a bit of an arc, but it's not terrible. So it's very, very manageable with the AFT increase. And with the last 3, I would probably either go demo expert. You could potentially go superintendent or vigilance. So since you have sonar, vigilance isn't super needed. Demo expert's going to help you with your guns, which isn't a bad idea. You could get an extra smoke, sonar, sprint burst, or speed boost. I still call it sprint burst. I don't know why. With superintendent, so that's always a plus. Or you could even get an extra little bit of torpedoes. I don't think this is quite worth it. It is nice though, so maybe, but kind of up to play style on here. I'm probably gonna go with demo expert. Maybe if I start needing 1 or 2 more sonars, I could roll with superintendent as well. But I'll probably go with demo just to get some extra smoke. Actually, you know what? Superintendent's probably what I'll end up going with. I'm between these. If you want to be like kind of more on the side of torpedoes, you could grab that. So there's a lot of options here to grab at a 19-point captain. But 16 points, I think that's pretty basic. Of course, I grabbed at 16 adrenaline rush, just because as you get hurt eventually, because you're going to be spotted all the time, you're going to take damage little by little by little, so you want to do more damage as you are getting hurt. So adrenaline rush is amazing almost on every ship. So that is it for me, guys. That's the Z-46, my ship of the week, the tier 9 German DD. If you guys are working through the line, trust me, it's worth it. Keep going. But that is it for me, guys. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.